Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hidden Gems Part 3. Long anticipated, we know. We're so glad everyone is here to learn about the exciting resources we have available. Today, we're going to be a little more informal. So if you have questions, please pop them in the Q&A and we'll do our best to answer them throughout the presentation. My name is Havilah. I'm a reference librarian at San Diego Law Library, and with me is Lisa Foster, who is another reference librarian at San Diego Law Library. She also handles all of our class planning, so we're very grateful to her, and I'm excited for this opportunity to speak with her today on resources that we think are hidden gems. We are getting to the much more hidden ones with Part 3, so you might hear some new things today.
Was it you, Havilah, that said we've already done the diamonds, now we're doing the sapphires and the rubies?
That's because my husband is a geologist. I mean, can't take it for granted, Lisa.
If you're interested in the diamonds, we did do similar webinars back in August of last year and December of last year, and those can both be found on our YouTube channel. So if you like this format, if you like learning about some of our resources to help you with your research, then you might want to check out those, and they are available for self-study and CLE credit.
Absolutely. And I forget, Lisa, are we doing a survey today as well?
We are, as always, with CLE. We're offering CLE credit today, so be looking out for that certificate by email later today if you're attending. But we do always include a short survey at the end. You'll see a link to it when you leave the session, and we'd appreciate if you give us our feedback. Do you want to see more sessions like this? Are you good with the diamonds, rubies, and sapphires? We'd like to know, because it does really help us with deciding whether or not to do similar sessions again in the future. And one more thing, it is interactive, as Havilah mentioned. We'd welcome your comments and questions throughout the program. Again, we're going to be super informal today. It's just us friends talking about library resources. So if you do want to communicate with us, we ask that you use the Q&A function. Chat is really meant for the panelists only, and then we know to look for those all in one place. And with the Q&A function, you can make your comments or questions anonymously or using your name, whatever you're comfortable with.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for covering that, Lisa. I see a few people coming in, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. You want to talk about the slide for me, Lisa?
Oh, sure. So as always, our library has thousands of resources, whether you talk about our print resources, you see a picture of our library here. I might mention you can actually see the library like this again now if you come downtown. A lot of the construction that was previously going on Front Street is done. The sidewalk's clear, so we're really happy about that. But, as a lot of you know, we have lots of resources at our library, online,
Am I still here? Oh, Lisa, am I back? Is everyone back? Okay. I froze for a minute. I apologize about that, everyone.
I think it was me, but
we lost Lisa.
Sorry,
but
Penny, I think I'm back now. But thanks for letting us know. Yeah, the joys of working at home.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lisa. And yes, the construction is done. So please come on down. We are open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at our downtown library at 1105 Front Street, Cross Street, C Street. We still are offering our virtual services. So that is our remote databases, as Lisa mentioned. And then, of course, our YouTube channel continues to grow. We actually just hit 1,000 subscribers last week. So that was really exciting. Definitely time for celebration. And be sure to check our website for any updates. You can subscribe to our weekly newsletter if you're wanting to get up to the minute news about what's happening. And there's always a lot going on.
And our virtual services also include reference services by phone and email. So we'll have that information on a later slide. Always be happy to chit chat with any of you by phone or email if you're looking for something and want to know how we can help.
Yeah, So does anyone have any guesses as to what resources we're going to be talking about today? What sapphires or rubies of the law library? And if you don't,
You might
no
be at a
worries.
disadvantage if you didn't know what we talked about before, but we've gotten good suggestions before, and we even incorporated one of the ideas into our second Hidden Gems class that somebody mentioned in the first one, which was Google Scholar. So
Yes.
always interested to see if anyone has any suggestions here.
Okie doke. Well, I'll just move on to our first resource that we think is a gem. Let's say this is a sapphire. This is a Fastcase authority check, and I'm actually going to be doing a screen share for you briefly. So we're going to start, this is our legal databases page, which you can access by going to sandiegolawlibrary.org and then clicking the button legal databases. Fastcase is one of our databases that's really great for case law research and is open to everyone in the county. You don't have to be at the library to use it. It is going to ask you for login credentials. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If you notice, it'll say username and password right here. So I'm going to click right here to Fastcase and then type in SD Law Library. And then password Fastcase. Great. And so the example I'm going to use today is dog bite cases. So we're going to search for dog bite like that. And it takes a minute to load just because of the issues with my Wi-Fi. There we go. And it looks like it already defaulted to California for me. That's not always the case. Sometimes it'll have me gives me 15,000 results, as we can see up here. So be sure that you're using the right filter for California. That was the first thing. If you're searching for California cases, you could also be searching for other states or federal. So what I'm going to show you is how to filter by cited here most. And again, it did it automatically for some reason. Typically, it'll give you relevance first, and that's just what the algorithm thinks is the best relevant cases for you, but I want to do the cited here most to show you how to do an authority check within Fastcase, which is cases that cite to a case that you like for your legal research. So the first one right here, Nelson v. Hall, we're going to click up here, and you can see I have one panel on my left-hand side, which is still my result search right now, and then we have the case itself on the right-hand side. And what I'm going to do is click on this little flag right here for view authority check. And that changed my left panel from my search results to cases that cite to this case. And the first one we're going to do is right in here. And you can see how many other cases cite to this case. So right now it's saying that there's zero negative treatment on here. I'm not sure why it does this, but if you scroll down a little bit more, there should be one that's filled in, and that's going to be a negative one. Here's one, Knight v. Jewett. So we're going to click right here. And if I wanted to see where it's citing this case, I can click right here in my search terms and it'll go directly there. So that's just a very quick introduction to how to use authority check. One last little thing I wanted to show you is this cool timeline feature. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Oop, that was the opposite of what I wanted. So what this does is it has a relevance rating that the database assigns to a bunch of different cases on this top left-hand side, and then it has the date line on the bottom. And you can see the case we were originally doing the authority check for, Nelson v. Hall, all the different cases that cites to this. And then if it cites to that particular, because a case can cite to another case for a lot of different reasons. And when you're doing authority check, typically it's because you want it to cite for the same topic that you're researching. And that's what the blue bubbles denote in this graph, whereas the gray is just other cases citing to that case. And then the bubbles are how many other cases cite to that case. And then the red one is, of course, if a case has negative treatment. So we knew when we clicked on the little flag that it was negative, but now we're noticing that a lot of other cases, 2,433 cases actually have a negative treatment based on this case. So this can be helpful if you're looking for the crux of your research, something that's going to be up to date, because you can see anywhere from 1960 to 2020, and then the type of treatment that the case has. And then, of course, that's just very quick, but if you ever get lost in Fastcase, you could just click right here back to go to homepage, and they'll take you back to your original search results.
And can you say one more time, Havilah, how you got into the authority check? Because I feel like if I have any criticism of Fastcase, is that it's not really a prominent icon and it's not labeled at all.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. So what we'll do is we'll retrace our steps a little bit. We did a keyword search, and then we filtered for California cases. And then for my sort by, I'm going to do cited here, meaning Fastcase, what Fastcase has availability and you can access within most. And that gave me Nelson v. Hall, which I clicked into. And then I clicked right here on the view authority check.
So it's a little flag icon basically, and it's tiny and it's not labeled. And I think a lot of patrons using Fastcase might not even realize that this authority check feature is there, which is really fantastic because this database anyone can use from home through our website. And many people come into the library specifically to do what we call shepherdizing cases, in Westlaw or in Lexis. Well, this is really the equivalent of that. You're going to be able to take a case that you want to check on the validity of or to see what else is citing to that case. And you can really do this same function in Fastcase from home. So I think it is very much a hidden gem, especially because the way to get into the authority check is pretty hidden. So we really wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me bring that up again, Lisa. I appreciate it. Yeah, so the next little demo I'm going to do, as long as we don't have any questions, okay, we're good, is our Vital Law database, Wolters Kluwer Vital Law. Oop, go back to my slides. Right here. And so Wolters Kluwer Vital Law is a database that's available not only in the library, but available remotely for people that are a borrower with us. So if you did find this to be useful for your practice area and you wanted to access it at home, you could sign up for a library card with us and we can give you the login. So for Vital Law, we have practice areas of bankruptcy, COVID-19 resources, labor and employment law, litigation, pension employee benefits, property and construction law, and then securities. And what I want to highlight today is the bankruptcy resource because they have this really cool smart chart tool that allows me to compare different exemptions depending on the state. So the first one that we'll go through is the Bankruptcy Litigation Manual published by Cook. Or sorry, that's the author, Cook wrote it. And what we'll do, and it's a very similar view screen where you have the table of contents on the left-hand side, and then you have the beginning of the book on the other. But if I wanted to search within it, so let's say I was looking for exemptions to bankruptcy and motor vehicles, let's try that. And I'm putting motor vehicles in quotations for a phrase, whereas back when we were on Fastcase, we just did dog bite as two different search terms, but we could have put them in quotes, just like we did here to search for a phrase rather than the two different words. Okay, and this gives me one result within this particular resource. And navigating it is similar. We have the section that's open automatically, and then it gives us our search terms highlighted in yellow because this is toggled on. And you can email this to yourself or print it out depending on where you are. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but you can do the same thing with the authority check on Fastcase. So that's pretty cool. So let me go back to the Vital Law bankruptcy resources. I just want to show you the smart chart quickly. A lot of times when people are doing research, they're just looking for an answer, or they want to get into a resource that puts them directly in the question that they have, and they don't want to mess around and do a bunch of different searching in different resources. And so I like the smart chart because this is exactly bankruptcy exceptions. So let's say I wanted to do motor vehicles and personal property, but I was comparing California to New Mexico. Then it gives me the exemptions right here and it compares them and then links them to the relevant codes. which I just think is excellent. And it gives it to me in a great little outline, which you can also print or save or email, depending on your needs. So that's very brief dive into Wolters Kluwer Vital Law.
Havilah, could I ask you a favor? Can you go onto our databases page so I can mention something about Vital Law?
Of course.
As you probably noticed when Havilah was talking about this at the beginning, this is a resource that really covers some targeted topics. It's not like a Westlaw or Lexis that's going to have practice guides on every subject under the sun. But if you are curious, you're doing some research on a particular topic like bankruptcy, like ADA, you can just go to this chart on our website of databases and click the list of available titles in Vital Law. And you can see at a glance if there is a title in Vital Law that covers your topic. And I think just taking a look at this might help you remember this resource for these particular topics. Some of these are ones that come up at the library all the time: ADA, corporation law, 1983 litigation, electronic discovery, really good titles, evidence. So just a little tidbit, if you're looking for resources on your topic, you might click on that link just to see if anything is covered in Vital Law, because again, we're able to offer this remotely to our borrowers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa. And the one we were just searching in was the bankruptcy litigation manual, which we accessed by going bankruptcy and then into the book title. So that's it for Wolters Kluwer. Again, if you guys have any questions at all, you just pop them in the Q&A panel. I think we have exciting news to share, Lisa. Let me get back to the... What's going on with this?
Well, I laugh about this because my colleagues know I love this title so much that whenever they use it with a patron, they tell me later, "Oh, I was using your book today." They call it my book. Opposing California Civil Motions, Model Opposition Briefs is a Rudder Group title. I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with the Rudder Group series, but this one used to really be a hidden gem, and we talked about it in our Hidden Gems #1 last August, because it was only in Westlaw, and a lot of people didn't know we have this title. Well, I am such a big fan of it just because, well, for a number of reasons. It's a Rudder Group title, and those are always great titles, but it has this unique focus on opposing or responding to motions. And we deal with a lot of patrons who were doing that in the course of their litigation. But a lot of the other resources that cover motion were really focused on the moving party, filing a motion, bringing a motion, and they really don't give as much attention to the responding side. So I love this so much because if anyone is having to respond to really almost any kind of a motion in California in state court, this book is going to cover your type of motion and give you very, very detailed, very, very thorough model briefs with all the authority in them and alternative arguments. And honestly, when I show this to patrons, sometimes it's a jaw dropper when they see the examples and how detailed and how much of the work is already done for you writing a response to a motion. So the big news is we have it in print now. So I took a picture of the book sitting on a table in the library, and it's a cheat because we talked about it before, but it gave me a chance to talk about it again, just to let you know we have this in print. It's so funny because when I went to look it up this morning to get the call number, it was checked out. So, it's flying off the shelf and everybody loves it. So maybe not so hidden anymore because I keep talking about it.
Well, the gems don't always have to be hidden. And I agree, Lisa, this comes up at the desk a lot. I'll have patrons come in with the paperwork in their hand. They're like, this was just filed in my case. This was just, and I don't know what to do. And so I have that, and I can just pop it into doing a keyword search in opposing California civil motions. And here's some great boilerplate language to start with. It's very practical, and I appreciate that about it.
Yeah. And I like using the book to browse the topics, but then you can go to Westlaw, where you will find this in electronic form, download using the easy edit tool, your model brief in a Word format, and you're good to go to start working with it.
Exactly. And I think we have other places people can access Westlaw, right, Lisa?
We do. And thank you so much for bringing that up. Of course, I really like a chance to tell you that we have 2 partner public libraries in the county now that have Westlaw available on 2 computers. And that would be the Chula Vista Civic Center Public Library And the El Cajon Public Library, our library obtained a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is a federal agency. And proud to say that Havilah and I are the ones who wrote the grant application. And part of what the grant did is give us the money to obtain licenses to put some remote databases at public library branches in parts of the county that are far from downtown for folks who may have trouble getting downtown to use our library. So now Westlaw is one of those databases along with Gale Legal Forums, High Online, and CLC. So we're really excited to share with you that if you don't want to come downtown, would rather go somewhere where there's parking available, you can use Westlaw at Chula Vista and El Cajon libraries. And this is one of the titles you can get there.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. So I have another great resource that I really enjoy using as a paralegal is Litigation by the Numbers. And this is something I was taught in when I was in my program and then bring up in a lot of civil matter interactions with patrons. And it just covers the real basics of the progress of a civil matter. And, appearance by the plaintiff, filing service, and calendaring, that comes up a lot when patrons ask me, I got this, or what happens next? And that's not something we can just easily answer at the desk. But this has a great chart that shows you how to do that really specific calendaring. Default by defendant, appearance by defendant. Discovery is a huge topic that this book is really helpful for. And then motions, of course, what happens in pretrial, settlement and dismissal, and then judgment and enforcement. Because a lot of people don't realize just because you have a judgment in place doesn't mean what the judge ruled is going to happen. There's this whole other enforcement aspect that you have to go through typically. So I am really excited to show you just, there it is. This is what chapter 1 looks like. And so I just wanted to give you a brief overview of how to navigate this book, because I know it can be overwhelming if you've never used it before. What you have is chapter 1, of course, appearance by plaintiff, and then it gives you little symbols with section numbers depending on what you are hoping to research today. So what we're going to go through is the caption and the body of preparing the complaint and accompanying forms. Let's just move on. So this is a caption within Litigation by the Numbers. And you can see in this scan, there's little numbers on the left-hand side that are different from the pleading paper numbers. So make that distinction. These are the instruction numbers. So if you don't know what this top part is, or the second little part under it, we have a whole page in Litigation by the Numbers that explains what it is and how to fill it out. And we get this question at the desk a lot. Can you help me fill this out? What is pleading paper? And we are limited because we're reference librarians. I can't sit down and explain this all to you because then I'd be advising. So what this is great for is if you're a brand new paralegal in practice and you're needing some help, or if you're a pro per. And I'm sure there's other resources within Litigation by the Numbers that are helpful specifically for attorneys too. Let's move on to, here it is, Litigation by the Numbers, the caption and instructions. So it says beginning with line 1, enter, and then gives you everything you're supposed to put in. We have a similar resource too on our website, but I know some people really appreciate having it right there in front of them in a book to fill it out. And then it also gives you notes on the type of rules that are going to apply to you depending on what you're filling out too. So just a real practical book. And then I really like this. This is in the back of the book, the table of forms. So if you come in and you had a form that you were filling out and didn't know how, looking up that particular title and then the little number. So you can see the title right here and then the little number that's corresponding to each court form. It has instructions for all of those forms and it tells you what page in the book to go to. So that's a really great navigational tool. And then,
we're constantly pulling this off the shelf at the library and sharing with patrons. Honestly, it's in our reference collection is where it's located. But, just to have something, especially with our pro se litigants that come in, we really can't sit down with them, as Havilah said, and help them fill out these forms line by line. And they're very daunting for pro ses. Well, this book will actually have examples of what they look like filled out with these step-by-step instructions. And I find that is just so helpful for people who don't have the first don't have the first idea what to do with the court forms or what some of the terms mean. So we're always pulling it off the shelf and handing it to people. I wish we had it in an electronic form. We don't. It's something we only have in print, but just a good thing to know about, just super basic, step-by-step civil procedure, covering all the basics and just giving examples of what does a civil civil case cover sheet look like filled out, or what does a simple contract complaint look like with the court form filled out. Super, super helpful for people who are just getting started with this process.
Yeah, I completely agree. It can be really daunting, especially in a civil matter. So this is a great tool to have at the library. This is just quickly an appendix that I really like to pull out, the attorney's do's and don'ts by topic. So this particular one is for court filing. And I think it's just helpful if you're not fully sure if what you're filling out is completely correct, or if you're worried that you're forgetting about something. This is a great reference tool to be like, whew, got my checklist, checked all those boxes, we're good. So it's always good to have. And then of course, we already talked about this a little bit, but the calendaring is so complicated, and litigation by the numbers just lays it out in a really clear and concise way for California. And I really like that. It talks about identifying a triggering event and then what happens after each thing is served. So that's really cool.
Yeah, this is really great for anybody, honestly. I mentioned pro se's. I think it works for attorneys. It works for staff, professional staff that work for attorneys. So yeah, it's a good all-purpose little handbook.
Oh, we have a question. Mm-hmm. Do you have any legal gems for California HR managers always looking for information on best practice to support my employees, protect the company?
Well, we definitely have some employment law titles that I think would be of interest to HR folks. One that just pops into my head is a CEB has several titles on employment law, like advising California employers and employees. We definitely have resources on that topic. So anyone looking for that, should feel free to come in or contact us, and we can get you hooked up.
Yeah. If you forward your question to refdesk@sdlawlibrary.org, we'd be happy to send you a list of recommended titles. And thank you so much for your question. We're almost done with litigation by the numbers, I promise. Just got way too excited about this. Finally, the last little appendix in the back that I love is the e-filing checklist. I get a lot of questions about e-filing because we just dramatically went from filing the papers to everything electronic. Not everything, but a vast majority is e-filing. And the courts have little tutorials and videos online, and I know that's helpful, but it is stressful for doing your first e-filing. And so the checklist, again, it's very practical, talking about deadlines and how to do courtesy copies. I just had that question on the desk last week. So it's a great place to go. Okie doke. So this California pretrial practice and forms is something that was new to me, and I also find really helpful with civil matters. This is something I'm test myself with learning about. So really delved into this book as well. California pretrial practice and forms follows every step of civil procedure before trial. It includes an issue-oriented outline, which is supported by over 6,000 recent cases, 200 forms, case-by-case illustrations, practice-proven strategies, step-by-step procedures, and pattern language. And similar to what we're talking about with litigation by the numbers, coverage runs from taking a case to trial, and then numerous tips on to how to avoid and fix mistakes, which we're always worried about, resolving peripheral disputes, crafting better documents. We're all trying to do that. Answer those ethical questions, process your cases efficiently, and sharpen your responses. And I think that this is really helpful because James, as publisher, just puts together really practical, well-organized materials. And I love the California Rudder Guides. They're great, but they can also be a lot to wade through, kind of like what we were discussing with vital law. So I think that this particular James publication just gets to the heart of the issue right away, which we like. And I just wanted to show you what it looks like online. So this is published by James, but it is also available in our Lexis Advanced subscription. And so that's how it appears. And this is how you would navigate it with the little drop-down tools. And I want to recommend it specifically for statutes of limitations. I had someone who came in having a statute of limitations question within the context of personal injury. and I was able to take them into the right chapter of this book, was like right away. So definitely check it out. And let me show you what it looks like in the book. So here we go. Statute of limitations.
Havilah, I kind of laughed when I saw your pictures of this book because it's a little beat up.
I know.
Honestly, I think that's a sign of things that are well loved in our library when they're a little dog-eared and beat up. So yeah, that's kind of a clue that a lot of people are grabbing this and finding it really, really user-friendly and accessible, maybe compared to some of those big multi-volume civil procedures.
Yes, gets checked out a lot, and it is 2 volumes. So there you go. Yeah. And I think Lisa has some cool things to share with us. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to take the next one. This might seem a little different, but I'm going to talk kind of generally about our briefs collection at San Diego Law Library. And this is kind of fun because we actually have a pretty robust collection of appellate briefs from California courts, both the courts of appeal and Supreme Court, in some various formats. And, it's actually been coming up in reference quite a bit lately, I feel. We've gotten several emails where people are looking for a specific brief. I need the opening brief from this case, and they have a case citation. And, sometimes these things can be actually hard to find. Havilah and I were chatting before the session today, and we think a lot of people really feel like these things must be readily accessible, and they're actually not. So we're kind of proud to offer this collection at our library for people that are looking for briefs. And it's a pretty extensive collection, and every format has really different range of coverage. So we actually have a guide on our website. It's the California Briefs Collection Research Guide that goes into our collection in great detail. It's got tables in there. Like if you're looking for a brief from a specific year from the Court of Appeal, this is the format we have it in. So I really recommend anyone who is doing research where they're looking for briefs might want to take a look at our research guide, because that's really got into more detail than I can talk about today. But I'm going to give you a quick overview with a few photographs, kind of illustrate what we've got. So first of all, briefs, what are they? Well, these are the arguments that attorneys and self-represented litigants bring before the appellate courts in cases on appeal. Of course, there's other type of briefs. You've got things like trial briefs and mediation briefs. Really today what I'm talking about is appellate briefs. They can be useful for research in a number of ways. First of all, they can just help deepen your research. If a brief is covering a case that has issues of interest to you in your research, you might find things cited within the brief that deepen your research. But also, finding a brief on similar issues to one that you're writing about, that you're trying to draft arguments for, can kind of give you a framework how to put together your argument, how to organize it, maybe what authorities even to cite. And they can be really, really useful. We sometimes just have patrons who don't know what it's supposed to look like and want to see the format of a brief. So they have a number of types of value in research. And again, we do get questions from time to time, can you help me find this brief? Sometimes we can. I should say there are gaps in coverage in our collection. We don't have everything, but we do have briefs going back as far as 1895. So Havilah, can you advance, please? And those pictures were just some examples of some different things. So how do you go about looking for briefs at our library and through our library? Well, first of all, I always recommend you start with databases. That's the easiest way to find briefs. And then you go to the harder ways, the print and the microfiche if you can't find briefs electronically. So first of all, I recommend that you try Westlaw. Westlaw has selected coverage of California briefs dated from 1988 forward, and they also cover some selected older cases. But the coverage is selective. I don't really know the reason why Westlaw chooses to include some filings along with the published decisions. And in some published decisions, they don't include any filings, but they do have some selected filings, including appellate briefs. So you can always, if you have a case citation or a docket number, you can go looking for your case in Westlaw and just see there's a tab when you open up a case in Westlaw that says filings, and it will have any trial court or appellate filings that are included. A lot of the time when I look in Westlaw, that says 0 there. There's nothing there, but you never know. Every once in a while, you can find a brief there. That's the easiest way to start. And then also on our legal databases page on our website, you will see listed a database called the California Public Law Library Brief Service Database. So this is a database we have. It can only be used in the library, but the public can use it on our computers. And it includes the Cal Supreme briefs from 1990 on, and the Cal Courts of Appeal briefs from 1996, and again, some selected older cases that are often cited. So always better to check these databases. It's a much easier way to find briefs, to export the briefs and save them. But then if you have exhausted the databases, we have some other ways to find briefs at our library. And these are sources that the librarians have to search for you. So we have an archival briefs database covering 1972 to 1995, and that is a database that only library staff can access. So be aware of that. We also have a Westlaw California briefs database, librarian access only. This really just duplicates the Public Law Library brief service. So not much value in searching that if you've already tried the Public Law Library brief service. And then we have microfiche, and that is actually a pretty extensive collection. That's what we have that goes back to 1895. And it is best if you're looking for something older. And we also have an archival print collection that we recently obtained from San Diego State University, which is kind of exciting. It's a set of print briefs, and they are all dealing specifically with cases that have some importance in San Diego County. At any rate, my main tip for you really is if you're looking for a brief, you're going to want to email us or contact us ahead of time. And maybe we might even be able to easily find it for you and send it to you by email. Depending on the amount of research involved, there could be a document delivery fee. But definitely check in with us. We might be able to save you a trip to the library. Next slide, please. I just wanted to show you a quick screenshot of the Public Law Library Brief Service Database. This is the one that you can use on your own on our library computers. There is no remote access to this, but it does have some coverage of some California briefs from the 90s on. And one note I want to make about this database, you cannot search it by subject. So if you don't already have a specific case in mind that you have found through some other means, either through a practice guide, a secondary source, or searching on a database by subject like Westlaw, Lexis, Fastcase, you're not going to be able to use this. For this one, you need a case name or a docket number. So you're going to have to identify the case in some other way first. But once you have that case name or docket number, you can easily search this database and see if your brief is included. So next slide, please. So then there is our microfiche collection. I have a really quick little table here of the coverage you can see. It goes back pretty far, but we also have a significant gap here for the Courts of Appeal between 1935 and 1969. Again, so that's why it's good that we have all these layers of different resources. Gives us a chance to maybe use one of these to help you find what you are looking for. The photographs you see here, these are in the back stacks on the first floor of the downtown branch. You may have even seen this area if you've been browsing back in those stacks. It is a public area. The public is allowed to use the fiche reader, but the librarians do need to pull the fiche. So we will certainly help you if you want to search the fiche and use the reader. And then you're able to take a flash drive and put it in the reader and save briefs from the fiche. So it's a pretty cool little setup, especially for anyone looking for older or historical briefs. And we're happy to help you with it. Probably good if you're going to be doing this kind of research to let us know in advance. And maybe we can even find and pull what you're looking for before you come in. Next slide, please. And then I just wanted to share again this kind of exciting development we have of a briefs collection in print that we obtained from San Diego State University. So they had this collection of California Supreme Court and Court of Appeal briefs from 1891 to 1951. And these are all cases that were chosen for the collection because they have historical significance to San Diego County. And one of the really cool things is they actually had a little card catalog that went along with it. So not only are these briefs organized, this is up on the 5th floor of our library, by the way, where you see these file folders. That is not a public area, but anyone who wants to do research using this collection can make an arrangement to do so through us. Just ask and we'll set you up. But you can actually search this group of briefs by subject, which is really cool because of some very detailed work that was done at San Diego State University. And then they have gifted us with this collection and this card catalog. And there are 2 boxes of cards by subject. So again, this might be another way to try to find something that is not included within our databases or our microfiche collection. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to say about our briefs collection, again, going back to the guide that we have on our website that has all the details, we can also point you to some other sources if we are unable to find the brief for you throughout our own collection. So the LA County Law Library has its own collection of briefs, and then also the California State Library may be a source for getting appellate briefs. I have found working with that library to be the customer service is really excellent at the California State Library. I have had a chance to be looking for historical materials before and get really good reference service by email there. So that's always a possibility that we can point you to another source for finding your brief. So anyway, that's a lot about our briefs collection, but we've got a lot. So I just really wanted to make sure that people were aware that we had these materials.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lisa. The briefs collection is very hidden, and we have briefs in so many different places that as a patron, I don't know if it's easy, number one, to know where to look. So I agree with you that asking us first to see if we have even coverage in that particular date range is very helpful. But using the microfiche machine is just very fun, I will say. So we always get excited when we get those requests. And I just wanted to ask, say that there wasn't coverage for what I was researching at the State Library or LA Law Library, where would I go to get that particular brief?
You know, I suppose we could try contacting the court where the case might have been filed to see if they have it on file and they're willing. I know for a more recent case, I was able to get the 2nd District Court of Appeal to send me something for a patron. I got an email from them saying, well, we usually charge for this, but here it is. So, you know, it's like,
there you go.
No guts, no glory. I just asked for it and they sent it to me. You know, you can even sometimes contact attorneys who were involved in a case and they are willing to share, you know, copies of materials. Again, you know, you can always ask and you never know if they're going to say yes or no, but usually their contact information is on any brief that they filed. So, you know, that again, it's something from the 1800s, probably not, but
yeah,
but something more recent, you know, there could be these other sort of creative ways to try to find something.
Definitely.
Okay, and then I'm going to talk about another historical collection we have that's kind of fun that some of you may not be aware of, which is our historical California codes. So the library has a collection of historical West and Deering's annotated California codes on the 4th floor of our library downtown. Many of you probably have never been up to the 4th floor. It is a public floor, but everything on the 4th floor of our library are older, superseded historical materials. And it's not just codes. We have all kinds of practice guides and other kind of publications, just anything for which, oh gosh, so sorry about the ringing phone here. Let me take care of that real quick. All right. Yes, I have a landline. Anyway, Havilah is laughing at me. You know, anything where we have a newer version down that circulates, you know, a lot of times we keep for some of our more valuable practice guides and materials and primary sources, you know, these older materials. And so it does come up in research from time to time that patrons need to know, what did this penal code section look like in 1980? Or what did this Code of Civil Procedure section look like before it changed, you know, in 1996? And, you know, sometimes this information cannot be found in a database. If you're looking for more recent versions, historical versions, you can find them on a database like Westlaw. If you're looking for something that goes back probably before the 90s, you're not going to find it in a database. And so we actually have this print collection that is available for the public to use. You can browse it. It does not circulate because they're very precious. You know, there are things that we can't get copies of anymore. But you can see the range of coverage here. There are some gaps in our coverage, but generally we have from the 1950s to 2016 with the West. Why 2016? We stopped carrying the updated West annotated code in 2016. We now have for the current code in print only the Deerings. And then for the Deerings, we have generally from 1903 and vault for the volumes and the pocket parts from 1943. So next slide, please. have some cool pictures of what this looks like if you've never seen it. So take a look at this. We've got a lot. So it's hard to see in the photos. They almost look like they're the same color in these photos because of the angle. But on the left side of the screen, you will see the Deering's codes, which are maroon in color. And on the right side of the screen is an adjacent shelving area with the West codes, which are blue in color. And then on the facing shelf area, we have the pocket parts, that go back quite a ways in time. Now, those pocket parts are bound up and they're kind of fragile. So anyone who wants to make copy of those, we ask that you bring them to us and we take them apart and make the copies or scans for you. But we're happy to do that. And again, this collection is available for anybody to browse who's interested in finding historical codes. And so we have been having reference questions looking for historical codes lately. And interestingly, we've had some DAs working on cold cases that needed to find old copies of charging sections in their cases because they're still operating, if they're prosecuting a cold or older case that's been solved, under prior versions of the law, that were in place at the time the crime occurred. So, we've been working with some of these historical codes to answer those reference questions, but I just think they're super cool. And you can advance the slide, please. Just to see a little detail here of what this looks like on the shelf area. We have these organized by the subject matter codes bunched together. And you can see anything on the fourth floor usually has an X on it. That helps us when we're shelving to know that these are things that go up on the fourth floor and not on the first floor. But the years are written on the volumes. So you can clearly see the year of the volumes there. And then the pocket parts that we have are clearly labeled there and bundled. And so just wanted to kind of share this fun collection with you. And again, it's just part of what we have on our fourth floor that you're welcome to browse anytime that you're at the library to see what we have in the way of sort of like historical and archival materials.
Yeah, this is a really fun thing to research in print. I do have patrons coming in asking me how to view this electronically in the databases. And it is a common assumption that there's coverage. Yeah. And a lot of times, because of the age of these products, they're not archived that way electronically. So,
the databases only go back so far, although that's obviously a good way to find them if you're looking for something that's a more recent version of a statute.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's about everything I had, unless you had anything else on that. So I think we're going to change screen sharing now so I can talk about a website that we love so much. All right, can everybody see that?
I can see it, Lisa.
Okay, fantastic. So again, I think this is our PowerPoint again, just my view of it, and then I'm going to show you the website. So this is another thing we pull out a lot that we share with our patrons. It's not a hidden gem of our law library, but I do feel like it's a hidden gem because we point patrons to it on a pretty regular basis. So our partner public library in Sacramento County has a fantastic website. And they have created so much content on their website, including research guides, self-help videos, and they also have some neat things we don't have on our website, like federal pleading paper. That we really find ourselves turning to this and sharing whenever there's a topic that we don't have a guide on in our own website. So of course there's some crossover where both of our libraries are covering the same subject matters, but they have some unique guides on their website that we share with patrons. And there's some common reference topics that come up that are covered by this website. So I really wanted to share it with you. And let me turn actually to the website itself so I can show it to you. So if you're looking for their website, the web address is saclaw.org. You can just Google Sacramento County Law Library, or you can put in saclaw.org and go easily to their site from anywhere you have internet. And you can see the organization, like our library, they do their own MCLE classes, but they have a lot of their material organized under this heading of legal topics. That's a really good place to start if you're looking for something. Some of it is organized by self-help. They've got forums and some information about their services and then videos. But I really like to start any research on this site, if I don't already know what I'm looking for, by looking at the legal topics. So let's take a look at that. So they have, here's a few of what they consider to be popular topics at their library, but I always go down to this A to Z sort of listing of legal topics to start some research. And if you click into any of these guides, basically, they're going to give you all kinds of information on that topic. So let me find one here. I'm just going to pick collecting and resisting judgments just to grab a topic here for you to show you how they organize information. So if you were looking for some information related to this topic, you can go to their guide, and they've got links for community resources. They've got links to forms. And then here are all their research guides. So this is just on the topic of collecting judgments. You can see what a robust collection of research guides they have, because this is just on this one topic. And then they've got related websites. They've got here a interest calculator tool that they're recommending, and even some pamphlets, and then some self-help videos, all in one place. So each one of these legal topics is like a little one-stop shop of information, but I really like their guides. And so you can just see here, let's just grab one of them for fun, wage garnishment, because I really want to illustrate for you how they put their guides together and how user-friendly they are. They will take a topic like this and break it down so it's understandable for anyone, whether they be attorney, pro se, trying to deal with this subject matter. And here you have a judgment. You need to collect your judgment from another party, and one of the options is perhaps getting a wage garnishment and collecting from that person's paychecks if they're not paying the judgment. And so this goes through step by step the law with links related to that topic, the governing law, and then step by step instructions of what you need to do to get a wage garnishment. And then this is going to look a little bit similar in some ways to something, we showed you earlier, like litigation by the numbers, because they're going to give you examples of templates or forms with instructions for how to fill them out. So take a look at this. So here they're showing you a court form. That's one of the things you need to use to get a wage garnishment. And they've just covered this page with little boxes with instructions for what to do with every little bit of this court form. So anyone could really take this, and they've made it understandable. What do you do here? What do you put there? And it's super, super user-friendly. And again, this type of treatment covers many, many topics on their website. There's just a lot. There's several things that we just seem to keep coming back to that we recommend to patrons. One of the things they have that's kind of a unique guide, I just usually type, let's see here, DMV to find it. And I don't know why, but it is not working for me to type into this website. Oh, well, live program here. Well, they have a very unique guide on how to stop someone from transferring title to a vehicle. And believe it or not, that comes up very often in our reference here at our library. Well, they have the guide on how do you do that? How do you get an injunction to stop the DMV for transferring title to a vehicle? Now, why in the world would you need to do something like that? Well, I had a patron come in recently, and he was recently divorced, and he was awarded a truck in the divorce, and his ex-wife had actually taken off with the truck and was listing it for sale and trying to sell it. And she wasn't entitled to do that under the terms of their divorce. So he needs to quickly put something in motion and get an injunction so that the DMV would not transfer title to the truck. That's just one scenario. We've heard some others, maybe where people feel like their car was towed unlawfully. They're going to challenge that and fight that, but in the meantime, they want to make sure it doesn't go on a lien sale. It's just interesting to me that it comes up all the time. They've got the guide on that with everything you need to do that court paperwork. So lots of unique topics. Again, the federal pleading paper. Now, on the topic of things like that, there are templates like the federal pleading paper. If you're going to go to Sacramento Law Library website and use one of their templates and you're not in Sacramento, be sure to change the name of the court on that one. So they do have the federal pleading paper, for instance, but it's going to say Central District of California up in the caption for the court. If you are in the Southern District here, you're going to want to just change that. It's really easy to do. And otherwise, that pleading paper is going to work just fine for you anywhere in California. So again, you always have to use caution where you're using templates and guides from another jurisdiction, but most of theirs are very universal as far as the law that they're talking about, and the forms that they're using are statewide law and forms, and you can use it here in San Diego. So we just wanted to give a shout out to our friends in Sacramento. They've done such a good job with their website. Oh my gosh, I just looked at the clock and realized how we're quickly running out of time. I'll take a breath. So I will go on to the next thing I wanted to talk about then. Let me go back to our PowerPoint really quick. So I already talked, this was just a few things that I listed in our PowerPoint that you'll get a copy of that you can find on that website. But let me go on to the last thing that I'm going to talk about, which is this pro se guide to representing yourself in federal court. Why is this a hidden gem? It's readily available on the internet, but a lot of our patrons wouldn't ever find this because it's on the website of the Northern District of California, U.S. District Court. So we don't have an equivalent guide like this on the website for the Southern District Court here that covers San Diego. We have many patrons at the library litigating in federal court, including our pro se litigants as well as attorneys. And I have just shared this with so many patrons because it's just such a, again, back to user-friendly, accessible, step-by-step, easy-to-follow guide to the basic civil procedure and processes of handling a case in federal court. And so let me go really quickly because I know we're almost out of time. I wanted to show you how to navigate to it from the website because I have Googled looking for this guide before, and what has come up in my results are older versions of the guide. To make sure you're getting the 2020 most recent version, I like to go directly to the Northern District Court of California website. You scroll down on the page and it says, if you don't have a lawyer. So again, why is this a hidden gem? It's a little hard to find if you don't have a lawyer, because this is written specifically for pro ses, although I think anyone might want to use it. And then down again on the page, the court pro se handbook, here's the link. So this is how you get to the 2020 version. Let me just show it to you really quickly. Oh gosh, I really didn't think we were going to run out of time. We've just been chatting too much today. It has a table of contents that shows you, this just goes through all the steps of civil litigation in federal court. And this table of contents is linked. You can click on these topics and go right to the pages. And it is super easy to read, plain English, understandable. It goes through, it has charts for things. It shows you things like, let me scroll down real quick and show you, again, some of these sort of step-by-step guides, how to do certain pleadings when it comes to filing and serving. They've got some information on, gosh, I know I'm scrolling through this so fast, sorry. Things like this that show you really clearly in a table, different service rules applying depending on who the defendant is, a business, a foreign country, an individual. And so again, we have these Redo Group type guides to federal civil procedure with multiple volumes that are really dense, but especially for the self-represented, I think this guide is a really fantastic resource. It's fairly up to date. As it says here, it's a collaboration of some judges, interns, attorneys that put it together and update it regularly. And it is not copyrighted. You can download the whole thing and save it for your reference right from this website. So really just wanted to give a shout out to this guide. I wish we had one for Southern District because again, like with Sacramento, you're going to want to pay attention if you're using a template that you have the right court name there. But otherwise, it's really pretty universally applicable to California. And I share it with patrons all the time. So let me go back to our PowerPoint. We don't really have time to talk about these, but I know we've got our own guides. We always like to kind of highlight that our website has a lot of guides that we've created here at San Diego Law Library. And these are just some of the topics we wanted to just give you a little preview of if you want to go in and look at our guides. There's many more. And then we'd like to thank you for joining us. So here's some fun pictures of us. And I don't have that last screen with our information. If you want to contact us, our phone number at the downtown branch for reference is 619-531-3900. And you can email us anytime the library's open, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, at refdesk@sdlawlibrary.org. That's refdesk like reference desk, REFDESK at sdlawlibrary.org. And sorry, we just raced through that and took up all the hours. So I'm certainly willing to stay a few minutes if anyone has any questions or want to ask us anything about the resources we covered. I hope there was something there that was helpful to you today.
I really enjoyed your presentation, Lisa. Thank you for going over all those materials. I didn't realize that they had that great federal guide. That's going to be really helpful on the desk.
Yeah, it really is. Again, it's just so accessible. And, our other resources sometimes are just so daunting for some people. But I would think even attorneys who don't practice a lot in federal court would get some value from that, or other legal
Absolutely.
professionals. Yeah.
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 All about
All
charts
right.
and graphs.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Havilah, for this talk. We always love talking about these things. We love sharing information with our patrons. Thank you, Renee. It's just a great presentation. Glad you enjoyed it. We are going to be posting this on our YouTube channel. So if you know anyone you think might be interested in any of this information, it should be up within the next couple of days. And again, you should have received the slides and just a kind of a one-page sheet of the resources we talked about with location information by email today.
Yeah. And be sure to fill out our survey that I'll direct you to.
Have a minute, that would be great. Oh, and excellent news about the YouTube channel. Great, thank you. Havilah is our queen of our YouTube channel, so she is really responsible for that robust content and making all those programs available to you.
Well, I hope
and definitely take a look at what else is in there if you get a chance. We've got so many programs now that we've posted on many topics, including special CLE credit. So lots of good stuff there.
Definitely.
All right. I don't see any questions, so we're going to let you go. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Bye, everybody.